Today we will learn about the ethical hacking Module 5 Vulnerability Analysis. Wireless network assessment. Determine the vulnerability in the organization wireless network. Credential assessment. Assess the network by obtaining the credential of the all machines present in the network. Manual assessment. In this type of assessment, the ethical hacker manually assess the vulnerability ranking, vulnerability score. Distributed assessment. Assess the distributed organization assets such as client and server application simultaneously through appropriate synchronization technique. Non-credential assessment. Assess the network without acquiring any credential of the asset present in the enterprise network. Automated assessment. In this type of assessment, the ethical hacker employ various vulnerability assessment tools such as Nexus, Qualys, and GF LandGuard. Comparing approach to vulnerability assessment, product-based versus service-based assessment solution. For the product-based solution, install in organization internal network, install in private or non-routable space or the internet addressable portion of the organization network. If installed in a private network, or in other words, behind the firewall, it cannot always detect outside attack. For the service-based solution, offered by third parties such as auditing or security consulting firm. Some solutions are hosted inside the network while others are hosted outside the network. A drawback of this solution is that attacker can audit the network from outside. Tree-based assessment. The auditor select different strategy for each machine or component of the information system. For example, the administrator select a scanner for server running Windows, database and web service, and user another scanner for the Linux server. This approach relies on the administrator providing a starting shoot of intelligence and then scanning continuously without incorporating any information found at the same time of scanning. Inference-based assessment. Scanning starts by building an inventory of protocol found on the machine. After finding protocol, the scanning process detects which ports are attached to service, such as email server, web server, or database server. After finding service, the process selects vulnerability on its machine and starts to execute only the relevant tests. Characteristic of good vulnerability assessment solution. Number first, ensure that correct outcome by testing the network resource, port, protocol, and operating system. Number two, use well-organized inference-based approach for testing. Number three, automatically scan again continuously update database. Number four, create brief, actionable, and customized report including vulnerability by severity level and trend analysis. Number five, support multiple network. Number 6, suggest appropriate remedies and work around to correct vulnerability. Number 7, imitate the outside view of attacker. Working of vulnerability scanning solution. We first locate a node and then we perform the service and operating system discovery on them, and then we test the service and operating system for non-vulnerability, and then in terms of the reference and finding the recommendation. Type of vulnerability assessment tool. We have host-based vulnerability assessment tool. Find and identify the operating system running on the particular host computer and test it for non-deficiency. Search for common application and service. Scope assessment tool provides security to the IT system by testing vulnerability in the application and operating system. Depth assessment tool find and identify previous unknown vulnerability in a system. This type of tool include fuzzers. Active and passive tool. Active scanner perform vulnerability check on the network that consume resource on the network. Passive scanner do not affect system resource considerability. They only observe system data and perform the processing on the separate analysis machine. Application layer vulnerability assessment tool direct toward web server or database. Location and data examination tool, we have network-based scanner, agent-based scanner, proxy scanner, and cluster scanner. Choosing vulnerability assessment tool. Vulnerability assessment tools are used to test hosts or application for the vulnerability. Choose the tool that best satisfy the following requirement. First, we can test from dozen to 30,000 different vulnerability depending on the product. Contain several hundred of different attack signature. Match your environment and expertise. Has accurate network application mapping and penetration test. Has a number of regularly update vulnerability script for the platform that you are scanning. Generate report. Check different level of validation in order to prevent lookup. Criteria for choosing vulnerability assessment tool. First, type of vulnerability being assessed. Number 2, testing vulnerability of scanning. Number 3, ability to provide accurate report. Number 4, efficient and accurate scanning. Number 5, capability to perform a smash search. Number 6, functionality for writing its own test. Number 7, test run scheduling. Best practice for selecting vulnerability assessment tool. First, ensure that it does not damage your network or system while running tool. Number 2, understanding the functionality and decide on the information that need to be collected before beginning. Number 3, decide the source location that can take into consideration the information that need to be collected. Number 4, enable logging every time a computer is scanned. Number 5, user should scan their system frequently for vulnerability. Vulnerability assessment tool. Qualys Vulnerability Management, a cloud-based service that offers intermediate global visibility into IT system area that might be vulnerable to the latest internet threat and how to protect them. Aid in the continuous identification of threat and monitoring of unexpected change in the network before they become breach. This example of Qualys Vulnerability Management. For the other vulnerability assessment tool, we have Qualys FreeScan, Asymmetric Web Vulnerability, Nextpost, Network Security Scanner, SANE, Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer, BSecure, Core Impact Pro, and Stalker Web Application and Managed Engine Vulnerability. This is example for vulnerability assessment tool for the mobile. We have VulnerScanner, an Android application that performs passive vulnerability detection based on the fingerprint of the software version. We also have Security Metric Mobile, an Android application that complies with PCI SSC guideline to generate a scan report. Vulnerability assessment report. First, we must run the vulnerability assessment report. Disclose the risk detected after scanning a network. Number 2, a report alert the organization of possible attack and suggest countermeasure. Number 3, information available in the report is used to fix security flaw. Under vulnerability assessment report, we have scan information, target information, and also the result. This example of analyzing vulnerability scanning report. For this module summary, in this module we have discussed the definition of vulnerability research, vulnerability assessment, and vulnerability management lifecycle, the CVSS vulnerability scoring system and database, various types of vulnerability and vulnerability assessment technique, various vulnerability assessment solution, along with their characteristics, various tools that are used to test hosts and or application for vulnerability, along with the criteria and the best practice for selecting tool. We conclude with a detailed discussion on how to analyze vulnerability assessment report and how to disclose the risk detected after scanning the network. In the next module, we will discuss the method attacker as well as ethical hacker and pen tester utilize to hack system based on the information collected about a target of evaluation, for example, footprinting, scanning, enumeration, and vulnerability analysis phase.